Hi, this is Mike Johnson. I'm going to offer some tips today on how to successfully complete a behavior-based interview and successfully prepare for one. I've had the pleasure to participate as a applicant and to administer many behavior-based interviews and thought that sometimes they're tricky, and I've noticed a lot of people that are doing them for the first time have a lot of difficulty, and I figure a video like this will help you better prepare. So first, what is a behavior-based interview? A behavior-based interview is basically a set of questions that are very open-ended. They almost always start with describe a situation, tell me about a time, things of that nature. And they all kind of tailor to a specific skill that the hiring manager feels is necessary to that position. So if that was a data entry position and attention to detail was important, maybe a question would be describe a time where you had to pay close attention to detail, or describe a time where attention to detail was critical in the project you were working on, things of that nature. So those are very open-ended, and that's a behavior-based interview. So it's nothing scary. It's very basic. But you want to make sure you listen closely, because the importance of a behavior-based interview is to make sure you're answering the question that's asked. And so I've created a set of simple steps that I'll share with you that I think will help you better prepare for your next behavior-based interview. So let's get started. So step one is review the job announcement. Once you're told that you'll get an interview for that position, you want to repull the job announcement if you can get a position description, job description, anything like that, any information that you have. The reason you want to review that is to try to identify what skills you think, if you were the supervisor, you think were necessary. That's how you can maybe tailor your preparation a bit. Also, you want to be fluent in the job that you're applying for so that you can better apply the skills that you may have to the skills you think that position requires. That'll always help. You always want to tailor your answers when possible. So that's the first step, is review that information. Step two, STAR. The STAR model is a way to help you phrase the answer to your question. So I have a little flyer here for you. STAR. STAR stands for describe the situation, describe the task, describe the action you took, and describe the result of your action. You can Google the STAR model. There's also other models, the SHARE model, things of that nature. If you Google them, you can find much information. Most commonly, I found the STAR model is what's used. So what that means is as you answer the question, so let's go back to the previous example, describe a time where you had to use attention to detail on a specific project. You want to go through STAR model. Sometimes it helps if you jot down some notes. So what's the situation? Okay, there was a time, and that's when you describe the situation, because that hiring manager probably doesn't know about that. Then you describe the task. Well, I had to pay close attention while doing this report. Then you describe the action you took. Well, what I did to ensure that I had good attention to detail was this. So that's that specific thing you did. That's really what matters. That's what you did. The situation's just kind of the background. The task, again, a little background. What were you supposed to do? The action is how did you ensure that happened? And then the result. At the end of the day, would you have done something different? Was it a success? Was that a failure? Was there a certain increase in accuracy? Things of that nature. So again, let's hold that up. That's the STAR models: situation, task, action, result. So as you practice and rehearse, you want to make sure to use this model. That'll help make sure that you don't forget a part, because trust me, you can start to get into that describing the situation and very easily veer off track, and you don't want to do that. A lot of times, from my experience, these BBI, behavior-based interviews, there's a very short time window, 30 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes, 20 minutes, that this manager is expecting to get these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions done. So you want to make sure that you are concise, but yet explain the situation. Another tip is at the end of answering a question is always ask, can you repeat the question? I want to make sure I answered it fully. That's a tip that was given to me at one point, and I think that's very valuable. Again, asking someone to repeat the question is not a bad thing. You want to make sure you understand. So keep that advice. Number 3, research potential questions. If you Google behavior-based interview, you will get hundreds and hundreds of type of questions that people might ask. When I was first applying and used my first BBI interview, that's what I did. I Googled, I got a laundry list, and I started going, okay, if I was asked this, how would I respond? If I was asked this, how would I respond? And keep practicing, because you're not going to know the questions they're going to ask. They're all different, so they're all different styles, different phrasing. So Googling from multiple different aspects are good examples to find good examples are exactly how you can prepare. Practice, practice, practice. So take those potential questions, practice by yourself, and then get someone else to assist you. That's important. You want to get a spouse, a parent, a friend to sit down in a very similar style, pick 5 random questions, and ask them to you. And so as you're preparing, you want to start coming up with the key accomplishments in your life. So the 5, 10 key accomplishments that in most aspects you could refer to. You want to have those relevant in your mind when you go into the interview. And sometimes people I've noticed have a copy or like a 1-page resume in front of them so that if they draw a blank, they can quickly glance and, oh yeah, I worked here. That's a good example. That's a good tip. But you want to sit down with that person and practice and have them ask you a random question and you have to provide an answer and then have them evaluate it, utilizing the STAR model the entire time. That will help you be better prepared. Someone can tell if you are prepared for the interview. There's a lot of people that don't know this format, don't know this style, and a lot of this information I'm providing you, you can get on Google. So some basic research on a BBI interview will help you prepare. Usually if you're asked about an interview, they'll usually tell you whether it's behavior-based interview, but you do want to ask. You don't want to prepare for the wrong format of interview. But going over your key accomplishments in your life to use those as examples, that's definitely a plus up. The last step that I have is dressing for success. Whether you're in a face-to-face interview or a over-the-phone interview, I think it is highly, highly important that you dress for success. That means gentlemen, suit, tie, shirt, tie. Women, nice blouse. And even if you know the hiring manager, I believe it is important that you dress that you don't know them, that you're trying to impress them, and you want to get that first impression. That's my opinion. So if you're going face-to-face, get there early, have everything prepared. If there's some value in having some questions prepared about the job, if there's some educated questions about the job, of course you can ask, when are you going to make a selection on this? I've heard that a lot. I don't think it's a negative. People just want to know sometimes, but really, the questions you kind of want to ask are about the organization, maybe about the position. If it's a supervisory job, how many people does this supervise? Things that you might not have been able to get from the announcement. So let's go over the quick steps yet again. You want to review the job announcement, go over the STAR model: situation, task, action, result, research potential questions, practice, practice, practice with a spouse, family member, or friend, and then dress for success. Those are the key steps for a successful interview. And I really harp on the practicing and the preparation prior to that interview, because if you are prepared for 20 to 100 different questions, there's probably nothing that they can't throw at you that you can't answer. And nothing can replace actually participating in these interviews. That's the best practice you're going to get. So these are some basic tips. Again, I encourage you to Google behavior-based interviews, types of questions, and other tips and suggestions. This is just one man's advice, but I wish you the best of luck. I think this, with a sound resume, are going to give you a better opportunity at getting that promotion and getting that next potential position. So I know you can do it. Practice, 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 and best of luck on your next behavior-based interview.